You are now dialed into Investment Research Radio. All material on this program is not to be taken as investment advice and is for informational purposes only. Investment Research Radio interviews the most exciting up-and-coming companies, as well as market commentary from leading analysts and traders. Now with your host, Ray Crowley.
Welcome to Investment Research Radio. I'm your host, Ray Crowley. Today we have Peter Berdusco, CEO of Guyana Goldstrike, which is GYA on the TSX Venture. And Guyana is a gold explorer in South America, in Guyana. Thanks so much for coming on, Peter.
Great. Thanks for having me, Ray.
Yeah, so if you could maybe just tell us a bit about yourself and your history in business.
Well, I've been involved in public markets now for a number of years and sort of progressed where I was more traditionally in corporate development, marketing type of roles, and that progressed into senior management. And from there, moved into CEO type of roles and heading companies in the resource sector. And it's led me to where I am today with Guyana Goldstrike. Guyana Goldstrike is as you've mentioned, we're on the TSX Venture. We're a gold explorer, advanced gold explorer, and we have a focus in South America. And in particular, I've always liked gold. I've liked the value in it, the intrinsic value in it. And I always felt that if you're going to get behind a project or a company, and sort of be the leadership on it, that you want it to be behind an asset that has long-lasting power in the marketplace and that investors understand and know. And gold is that type of an asset. And so it was very easy for me to make that transition from more of a traditional corporate development role to where you're the flag bearer for a company and leading the company on its initiatives. And so, that's partly, you need to be passionate about it. So I do have a passion for gold, and I think we're heading into what's going to be an exciting gold market here for the next number of years.
I agree. I actually have a background in gold myself, in bullion, and it's been a challenge for a lot of companies. But if you can stick it out like many have, and I guess you yourself has been sticking it out, it'll be rewarded in a big way. I think it's looking good. Could you tell us on the history of the project out there?
Yeah, the project's been around for quite some time. It's had a number of past owners, and most of them have been in the public realm as well. And they've sort of moved the project along to various stages. So when we had the opportunity of taking this project on, it had historical drilling, it had a historical resource, it had been explored. About 5% of the property had been explored, and so what we saw was that there was sort of enough of a footprint from what had been done that we knew that this wasn't a real green property, that it was sort of what you call like a brown stage. And so we liked the fact that it had the historical, and then we felt that that's something that we could work on and further develop. And so we took it over, and one of the first things we did was actually bring the historic resource into a compliant modern day resource. So that's given us just under 350,000 ounces at an average of 1.7 grams an ounce. And that's with our one current zone in the south called Mazoa Hill. And there was another zone that also was drilled to the north as well, called Marudi North. And what we've done last year, we've really explored to open up new areas. So that's a little bit of the history, and that really 5% has been explored, and our role is to really expand beyond that. There was prior successes and dollars spent, and one of the key areas actually where money was spent by the prior operators was in a mining license. And so we actually have a mining license, And that's an added value in terms of what it saves us for time in getting one, 6 or 7 years, and also the cost related in doing that. So that was an added benefit for us and another reason why we took this project on.
That's great. And that mining permit's good for quite a number of years as well, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, 17, 18 years.
And as far as the different exploration areas and zones, could you touch on what you have?
Yeah, sure. So I just briefly mentioned Mazoa Hill. That's where our current resource is. It's just under 350,000 ounces. And then we have another zone, Marudi North, that has not been brought into a current compliant resource estimate, but there was a substantial amount of drilling that was done there. And then this past year, we did a lot of trenching to open up a new area called Toucan Ridge. And Toucan Ridge sits actually kind of in between the two, I'd say about a mile in between both of them. So Mazoa Hill being a mile to the south and Marudi North being a mile to the north of it. And that's where we're at. And we just can't get to the work to start to open up some of the other areas as well, which really speaks to the blue sky potential and the opportunity for us to really grow ounces on this property. But our initial focus and priority is Toucan Ridge, because we were just very successful with our trenching there.
Yes.
And it's put us in a position where we want to move to a drill program this year, and we want to confirm the mineralization that we found in the trenches at surface. We want to confirm that at depth. And our initial program here will hopefully, all going well, that will confirm the mineralization at depth and put us in a good position then to expand and start to discover, well, what does this zone really look like? It's indicating from the trenching that it's very large in size. So that's very good. And then beyond there, I mean, we can expand into a number of other zones beyond the Toucan Ridge zone. But we just want to be very careful and methodical as we step out, and making sure that shareholder money is being put to good use.
That's great. So a lot of places to explore, and there's a lot of, like you're saying, a lot of blue sky potential there.
Yeah, and Ray, I haven't actually given the listeners sort of the visual on the size. I mean, our property is 50 square kilometers. So wow. that gives you a good indication that when you start to step outside of that initial 5% that I was speaking to you, that has been looked at by the prior operators, and we know that the property it's on trend quite well with where we want to continue to explore and look. It starts to get really exciting, in terms of taking this project from what is a small resource at this time into something that can be compelling and compelling and interesting for, to take into production, for example, potentially, mm-hmm. and also maybe for a mid-tier or a major to sort of take some interest and say, you guys are doing some good work here, and we could use those ounces to replenish the ones that we're mining out. And wow, so, yeah. That's the two things we're looking at, right? So we have the benefit of a mining license that if we get to size and we want to perhaps move into production ourselves, that's an avenue we can go down. But if the right suitor comes along, then we'd also look at the other scenario as well.
From what I understand, there was a Tecominco buyout target back a number of years ago.
Yeah, like I said, there's been a number of operators in the past. Teck was a investment partner with one of the prior operators. And so this is a world-class project, and it can easily garner that type of attention. The other thing I think that's notable that I haven't mentioned is that this is unique in that it's an iron formation is the type of geology. The mineralization is found in an iron formation. And there's not many gold mines that have this type of an iron formation geology. When they do, they generally tend to be very large and well disseminated. So the industry insiders definitely recognize this when they're looking at Marudi, that there is the real potential to move this well beyond the current resource that it is at now.
Okay. Wow. And as far as your total resource, is there a certain amount of ounces that you're looking to target?
Well, yeah, it's hard to look forward on the property and kind of, and obviously you want to maximize the ounces as many as you can, as much as you can. That's our role, and that's what builds the asset and builds the company and the value. There's certain sweet spots that in terms of the model, what needs to kind of work and make sense. Generally, with this type of an exploration model, you want it to at least get to 800,000 or 1,000,000 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an objective and a milestone for us as a near-term next step. We'd like to be in a position where we are doing an updated resource estimate and we're in the 1,000,000 or north of 1,000,000 ounce mark. And you do that through, strategic, smart drilling, confirmation drilling, and drilling out a zone like potentially the Toucan Ridge zone. So that's sort of a near-term milestone and definitely the next sort of level in the target. That's important for a shareholder. That locks in asset value. That locks in share value. That gets the company from, like I said, a small deposit into something that's large in size, where you can actually start to work the numbers or start to work the model, a mining model that's workable. So you can do a discounted cash flow model and actually kind of make sense. You could mine 1,000,000 ounces over 8 years and you can be making money at it. So it really takes us to a different level and to a different game. So that's a good near-term goal. I want to move well beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
My interests lie in multi-million ounce opportunities. This is a speculative venture that, the game that we're in.
Yes.
The venture market and resources, it's speculative. And for myself, for investors that put money in, you want to go big, because even if you go small, it's the same amount of work and effort. But you might as well go big, because when you go big, the potential for the payoff and the return is there. And so that's what we look for as well. We want that return and that payoff to be there. So we're looking for big payoffs, and we're looking for big opportunities that have large returns. So we're not satisfied with an updated resource at 1,000,000. That's a near term sort of a next step for us, but we want to be looking at multi-million ounce.
That's great. From what I understand, you also have had some support from a large mining fund, Zijin mining fund, which is saying something.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Ray. We early last year were fortunate enough to close an equity financing with Zijin mining funds out of Hong Kong, and they're connected to the Zijin Mining Group, which is the largest gold producer in China. And so this was sort of just an opportunity that came together quite well, where they were looking for some exposure in South America. We were fortunate enough to meet with them and present to them. And it just naturally continued to move forward, where they saw the upside that I have already discussed with you in terms of the 5% and the other 95% that hasn't been explored that we want to look to. And so they were right on board, and they saw that, yes, there's a real strong reality of getting to that next milestone, or that next step of being able to do a resource estimate of north of 1,000,000 ounces. If you do your exploration really well and carefully and properly and diligently, which we have done. We started with the trenching, and Zijin was very supportive of that, and now moving to a careful first step drill program to confirm that at depth. And all of that should, going well, should bode really well for the company as we move into the year here, and move for a first phase to a second phase type of drill program, and be in a position to do a new resource estimate over 1,000,000.
That's great. I'm looking forward to this year for Guyana, and if you could just tell us maybe what the website is, so if we have anyone that wanted to check out the latest.
Yeah, absolutely. So the website is GUYANA Goldstrike, GuyanaGoldstrike.com. And I encourage your listeners, your viewers to spend some time on the website. There's a lot of information on the website to go through. We try to do our best to put as much up there as we can. And just keep an eye on us, or add yourself to via email to our distribution list. Because we, as a junior company, until you get into a situation where you're revenue producing, we raise our dollars for exploration through finances. And so there may be opportunity coming down the pipe here for a private placement or a financing. And after you've spent some time on the website, it may be something that makes sense for your portfolio. Generally, what I've been hearing now, as the gold market is starting to bubble, is that investors are recognizing or paying more attention, or actually actively now adding 5-10% of their portfolio, adding gold to it. And that can be a mixture. That could be the Barricks and the Gold Corps of the world, but that can also be the right junior, where you feel you're going to get that little added bonus upside that obviously you wouldn't get with a Gold Corp. You'll get the steadiness of a Gold Corp or a dividend. But obviously, with the right type of an exploration or advanced explorer like us, potentially you'd get more upside on the stock side. The biggest gains, Ray, as you know, are usually made on discovery, or usually made as you grow your resource with an asset, and that's where stocks can be very powerful. And they do that. What's that saying? The hockey stick sort of move on the chart, right?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm very bullish on gold myself, and especially, it's always nice to find out what's out there as far as active explorers that are actively drilling with lots of upside. So, yeah, thanks so much for coming on here, and we'll keep in touch.
That's great. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and be more than happy to come on anytime.
Okay, Peter. Take care.
Okay, take care. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning into Investment Research Radio. Don't forget to sign up for the regular show and stay informed at investmentresearchradio.com.